专题演讲英国政府的 BIM 发展经验。我们很荣幸邀请到来自英国 Teesside University Professor Dawood。Professor Dawood 在学校不仅教授施工与管理、资讯管理科技，并担任施工构造研究创新中心主任，拥有广泛应用 BIM 技术于电脑施工模拟的经验，更成功获得英国工程物理科学委员会经费进行更深入的研究。现在，让我们以热烈的掌声欢迎 Professor Dawood。
Okay, good morning to you all, and thank you very much for this wonderful reception. And I'd like to thank the Deputy Mayor and NTU for this wonderful gathering of people. My sort of presentation really is going to focus on some of the experiences and why we're doing it in the UK. So some sort of why is it BIM in the UK started to be a major focus at the moment, particularly in government departments. So I'll take you through the journey of how things been done, and hopefully some of these experiences might have some impact or some application and implication here in Taiwan. So just to start, there is something that we started to develop for the last few years is about a whole life cycle approach to information. Something that we are very keen and passionate about, which is how information flow from one process to another. If you imagine this is the what we call construction processes, you have the design, outline design, you have environmental analysis, you've got the detailed design, you've got the some form of project management, you've got construction, you've got facility management, and basically some of the inefficiencies in construction really is about the discontinuation of information flow from one process to another. That's causing massive amount of difficulties and massive amount of wastage. And so this is one of the issues that we've been tackling in the UK for the last 15 to 20 years, is why construction is inefficient, why construction is is not really catching up with other economical sector in terms of return on investment, for example. That's for the contracting organizations and for the people who are building the facilities. So basically, bearing this in mind, that's something, one of the major, I would say, cornerstones of major issues in terms of it's just major issues in terms of why we embarked on this particular journey in terms of efficiency improvement and in terms of the way that things been done. Okay, so basically let's elaborate a little bit. We have the top line here, the processes. We have then, these are the stages, stage 1, 0 to 7, and these are the main industrial, what we call industrial kind of work. And every stage will have its own information development, and the idea is how information pass from one stage to another, and how every stage will make a added value to the process. So, if we look at these processes, one of the difficulties we have is that these are the processes, and then what I've done is to draw the term here, which is the processes, and the information value. Our holy grail is the red line. And as you can see, as we move from, let's say, some sort of feasibility study to some outline design, we tend to lose a little bit of information when the next step kicks in, or the next process. So all of this is wastage of information. For example, when we start drawing construction drawings, not much of the design drawings being used, and that's been the difficulties in terms of construction sort of efficiency. So the idea is can we overtake this? Can we have the our aspiration really is the red line, where once information created, reused, and then we add value as the process goes on. So this is one of the sort of overriding criteria that we've been doing. So coupled with that is the governance strategy. The governance strategy really is about collaborative 3D model with all project and asset information, documentation, and data being electronic. So there's two folds to that. One is the information needs to be in digital format in a way that is understandable by machines. It's 3D project and asset information. The other thing is this development has to have whole life cycle approach to it. Once we create a 3D model at a particular stage, we're not going to throw this 3D model and redevelop something else. So how we can cater for this? So basically that's part of the technology and part of the processes that we embarked upon. So I'll give you an idea about how some of the government strategies alongside these issues that we have mandated in 2016, as you can see here. 2016, a stage plan will be published with a mandated milestone showing measurable progress of each year on year. So 2016 is given the cutoff date for implementation of some of the strategies that we're going to talk about, which is basically it's for construction team, contractors, designers, etc. They want to engage in government-funded projects up to certain value. At the moment, they're talking about 50 million pounds worth of investment in a particular construction. They have to have all these processes that are going to go through being approved and being certified within the construction team. That is the government, I would say, the holy grail in terms of the BIM implementation in the UK. Okay, so that is where the strategy is in 2016. I'll take you now through some of the journeys that we've been embarked on. Now, how that's going to be implemented, we've got what we call the 7 pillars of BIM. There was something called PIS, which is Public Development Specification, that's been published sorry, for information for the capital delivery phases assets using building information modeling. That's all available free of charge on the internet. That's been published. This is part of the pillars of BIM implementation. We've got PAS 1192, release 3, specification for information management for the operation phase of asset using building information modeling. This is another similar, but it will refer to different phases of the construction. The third one is the PS, which is British Standard 1192-4, which is collaborative production for information part 4, fulfilling requirement information exchange requirement using COBE. So COBE is basically a standard in which information is going to be organized for the benefit of the facility management. I'll come to that in a moment, but these are the fourth one is the Building Information Modeling Protocol that's been published. Government soft landing, it's another pillar. Soft landing, I'm going to explain a little bit about the soft landing and the digital plan of work and classification. So the digital plan of work is ongoing research. I'm going to explain some of this, and the classification, which is ongoing, which is classification, the using of Uniclass. I mean, the holy grail really is to make everything electronics in terms of the building in 3D models in digital term, going through all the processes, adding value as you go along, and then following all these protocols. And digital plan of work is just being started to be developed by industrial partners, and the classification. I'll give you some examples. So basically, this is where the strategy is focused. When you have a strategy, you put the way that the strategy is going to be implemented. And the way the strategy is going to be implemented is through, as I put it here, through these 7 pillars. The passes, then you've got the British standard, and then you've got the other issue, building information model protocol, the government soft landing, digital plan of work, and the classification. Now, just to elaborate a little bit, why it's being done, before I dive into some of the details. I mean, why the government is interested, why is they pushing it hard? Because the government is investing heavily in the construction sector in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of buildings, etc., etc. And probably, if saving, which is the business case being approved for the use of the technology and the processes, and what we're saying, if this is being implemented properly, there might be something like from 10 to 25% cost reduction. Now, that is basically you get extra building for every building you build. So that's where things are focused on, is the cost saving, plus is the efficiency in which the facility is going to be managed using the information. If you have the building, how are you going to manage it? Managing the building in terms of what the business is going to have inside the building, plus the assets of the building, is a big issue. So part of that is the government wanting to have the BIM implemented, so therefore the information can be used post-construction, this is what the drivers really. So the government is not much interested in the construction industry making more profit, but more interested of the better facilities, and the better facilities that's going to run with a less carbon footprint. So that's where the carbon thing. So basically, just to let you know where the things are, it's really Wi-Fi, get water free. So that is the government, if you like, advertisement, that if we use this technology properly and the processes, we would be able to probably cut down on costs, so therefore we will get extra facilities free of charge if we build 4 facilities. So that is where the drivers are, and that's where the message is being developed. So basically, the aspiration, as you can see here, the aspiration is 20% capital cost reduction, and obviously reduction in carbon burden by about 20% in 2016. And this is big numbers. I mean, imagine 20% with all the rises of prices and things. So these are big numbers, but I was talking yesterday and the day before with the colleagues and you. I think the business case being made. Yes, these can be delivered. It's not something plucked out of the air. It's not something that is going to be crazy. It's not going to be happening. But things will happen, and that is where the focus on the 20%. The other thing, what BIM really is doing, it is really transforming the industry from being an analog industry to digital, training industry towards good quality, consistent data transactions. So basically, we're moving on from an industry that is really littered with issues and problems and still very traditional way of running it, into a better industry where we have created an infrastructure for a fast-changing global economy. So that's where the government is focusing, as well as growing the construction sector to be a little bit more into sort of the 21st century in terms of economical value to the nation. So basically, this is not in the UK, but even in Europe, there is some sort of European public procurement framework that's been moderated for the sake of the BIM implementation to encourage BIM in public works. And there are a number of projects as well, research projects, talking about the building information and economic modeling in infrastructure projects, which is roads, sort of bridges, the infrastructure. It's not only buildings. So there is part of the technology, part of the processes. In Europe, and particularly in the UK, we're working on a little bit of sort of innovation in terms of procurement systems, innovation in terms of the way the building is procured, the way the building is managed as a construction site. So this is a big issue. There's lots of regulations to be changed. But once you start the work, once you start the revolution, things will start to fall into places. Okay, moving on. This is particularly a report produced by the government, which is downloadable as well. There are lots of interesting stuff there. It's about construction in 2025. 2025 is, if you think about it, it's in 10 years' time, and we've got already 20% that is targeted in 2016. 2025 is, as you can see, the target is massive, really. 33% lower cost in terms of the construction, faster delivery, 50% is faster delivery, 50% lower emission, and 50% improvement in exports. Improvement in exports, the construction industry, I mean, the aspiration in the UK, the construction industry will be exported in terms of the knowledge, understanding, and in terms of services. So these are the numbers. As you can see, they're massive, they're big, and really, as UK PLC, as the government, they're putting the resources in order to innovate, in order to move on beyond the current, beyond the state of the art. I mean, you probably would agree that these are quite massive targets to reach, but that is the way things are happening. I mean, for example, if you've got your bridge be built 50% cut in the time, you know how much this is going to be for citizens, how much this will make for the people that's going to use the facilities, and it's a transformation, and it could happen. It happened in the manufacturing sector, it happens in other sectors, so why not in the construction sector? Why will not be more brave and stand up and say, well, it can be done? There are issues to do with the information flow, there's issues to do with processes, there's issues to do with the procurement, there's issues to do with supply chain, how we can innovate. And part of this BIM landscape, BIM strategy is what we're focusing on. Okay, so coming to the level 2 BIM, this is where, in 2016, where the UK mandate to implement BIM, as you can see here, Level 3 is about managed 3D environment using separate disciplines and tools with attached data and integration of commercial data. So that's where we are here. This is the level 3, the aspiration. I think the level 3 is moving beyond. This is where the 33% can be delivered. This is where the 50% of the time can be saved. You know, that's where the aspiration that we have. So, you know, as you can see, we started from zero here, where I mean, there's lots of companies still working in 2D or even 3D, but there's lots of preparation that's going on in terms of the how to embrace the technology and embrace the process. I mean, we say embrace and we say, but this is hard work. You're changing the way that you work. You're changing the culture within your organization and within your supply chain, and really is massive undertaking. But companies are starting to embark on this particular path with some support from government. Particularly, we have very big small medium enterprises, which is, I mean, you've got the big contractors, you've got the big consulting engineers, the like of Atkins or and others, but we have massive amount of small medium enterprises. Now, these small enterprises, unless they are on board, nothing will happen. So that's where we're focusing on as well, is these small medium enterprises, and the government and ourselves as a research community has been working hard with these sort of people to innovate and to get them into to start the road towards level 2. I mean, if you wanted to know more about level 2 and the processes, there are massive amount of documentation freely available on the internet about how is, you know, what sort of standards needs to be used. But the 7 pillars that I showed you is basically, this is the core foundation of people or companies that will be able to innovate. These are the 7 pillars that I've showed you through the passes, EIS 1192, the standard 1192 in different versions, 1, 2, 3, and the digital plan for work and the unit class. The unit class is the classification of products and services that they can be captured electronically. In more elaboration on this, as you can see, this is level 2, and these are the different standards and guidelines in which how this is going to be used. So it's about collaboration, it's about objects, it's about how you, and I mean, at the heart of it is the whole life cycle of your information and how you interact and work and collaborate with your partners and the construction team as well. Okay, so that is some of the level 2 BIM standards. This is the minimum requirement when you have shared data. As you can see here, and this shared data will be able to serve different clients or different supply chain, the surveying, the construction team, the operation team, and some sort of sales services. So it is quite exciting time, particularly for us. I mean, particularly for me personally, I've been working on this for the last 20, 25 years in terms of different ways in which looking at the construction process, different ways in which we can innovate with the information technology at the heart of the work. So this exciting is coming to be. The challenge is massive now. The impact, how we're going to demonstrate some of this research output that can come to be working. So another concept of the BIM is about the classification and indexing. We're moving really from relational databases and down to the future, down to spatial mapping and 3D dynamic models. So this is the holy grail as well in terms of the BIM, which is not all the data lives in 3D model. We don't want to have what we call info obesity. We wanted to have a bit lighter systems and lighter way in which data are being connected. And this is a massive challenge now to the research community. How do we make this happening? We don't want to create a rather massive data in 3D models, which takes you ages to articulate and to draw information. We want to have more agile and more data structures in which easier to interact and easy to develop and easy to interface. Okay, so this is where the level 2 resolves the methodology, working in a 3D environment, creating structured and geographical data, data verification, data exchanges, working in a common data environment, connecting CapEx and OpEx, and creating a solid platform for level 3. I'll elaborate a little bit on the CapEx here. CapEx and OpEx. That might be interesting for government departments, particularly the Deputy Mayor of Queensland is how we start to integrate the OpEx and the operational cost and the CapEx and the capital cost. How we integrate those together. How we think about the operation cost when we set the budget of the construction project. So integration predominantly of CapEx with the capital expenditure, with the OpEx will be the operational expenditure. It's a big issue now in the UK as well, which is paving the way for level 3. So basically, we are, as we try to implement level 2, the research communities and the government departments are paving the way of innovation for level 3. So basically, this is some of the issues that we do here. It's in the print of the outlines in your documentation. So basically, we're moving into how we going to operate, agreed standard, defined information requirement, as you can see here, and we're starting from the capital delivery, going to defined information, and that is part of the standard that we need to do. So basically, at the heart of the implementation of BIM is not about how the contractor is going to stage information, it's about what the client needs in terms of, for these facilities to run effectively and efficiently. That's part of the heart of BS 1192, the capital delivery one, and then moving into defined information requirement, and then right use of the data, and then it moves up to data exchanges, etc. And this is where we have the defined processes. So that's government applications in terms of how we're going to procure using BIM. So when we go to companies, when we go and help companies, particularly SMEs, to be ready for 2016, these are some of the work that we do and see whether they have enough expertise and sufficient knowledge about all of these protocols, all of these ways in which the information is going to be exchanged. Do they have the facilities? Do they have the systems? Do they have access to the server? And that's the way that things are going. Obviously, this one here is at the heart of the British Standard 1192. It's available now, particularly the new version is 11924, which has just been issued in 2014, which is a collaborative production of information, code of practice, and the British Standard 192 is particularly applicable where technology-enabled process are used to support things. So basically, my sort of advice to nations embarking on this particular journey in terms of BIM, it's really the process needs to be looked at properly, and some of these lessons and experiences can be looked at and see what good for a particular nation to adopt the BIM strategy. So that is some of the government cabinet office. This is how the preparation for the implementation. So you have a process that is being developed well using some of the standards. So there are other documentation that's been produced, which is the PAS 1992, information lifecycle management, and I mean you can have a look at these information. It's all available free of charge, and this will give you a flavour of where things are. So basically we have now, if you like, the blueprint of how we're going to implement this strategy. We've got documentation that standards in terms of different phases of the project, particularly, for example, Class 1192 is about information life cycle management. The government is not intervening in terms of the technology. They're not saying you shall use such technology. It's not their problem. They're not intervening of what sort of exchange we're going to use. This is for the industry and the community to decide. But what they're deciding on is how we going to conduct, what process is going to be used, and how information life cycle is going to be managed. So this is some of the current protocols. Just probably it is. If you go to the actual protocols, and lots of explanation, lots of elaboration. But if I can take them just quickly, these are the processes that I showed you: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is initiation. This is design. This is detailed design. This is construction or detailed construction drawings. This is construction, commissioning, and facility management. As you can see here, there are lots of exchange information. But at the heart of this protocol is this: employer information requirement. Employer information requirement is where serve the client. Now, if the client has a major role to play in this, has a major, so that's where the information requirement, and then comes the procurement, and then as you can see, delivery, and then you start to look at what you're going to build, how you're going to build it, and you can see the information keeps mushrooming, bigger and bigger as time is progressing. So the holy grail really, as we progress, as I show you early on, we need this, as things being developed, there's no waste in information. So a process will add value to the next process, and a process will add to the next process. The other thing, which is, particularly, you might have some researchers here, been working for a long time, and I mean, we sort of worked on the belief that everything lives in the 3D model. But really, the case is not. Is we are separating the documentation from non-graphical data to graphical data. This is where the 3D model, and we make the integration a little bit leaner, if you like, because in the 10 years ago, we used to work on big models, and we have aspiration to do everything within the 3D model, and it becomes then we creating big elephants. Things are very heavy to move, and some of the systems, including, for example, languages, will fall down when it's 110 megabyte the size of the model. So we need to be more open-minded in terms of how this information is being simple and a little more smoother for this to work. So that's basically at the heart of this. As I said, that's now become a good standard. The briefing here, and then becomes supply chain information, and then become the way that information is going to be organized and delivered, and you can say delivery, master information, and then you start then working on the project. It is a revolution. You're putting at the heart of everything is what the client is going to do with the building and how it's going to be run, and then you started to put the blueprint for the processes. This is another image for the past, which is a similar thing, but this is where things are going to be. In the briefing is what information do I need, in what format, in the next stages, can my supply chain supply it, here, how delivery of this information, and then becomes to design, construction, and operate. And there is a big thing here, as the government is concerned. This is where people is going to live in the building for about 30, 40 years, and how the information is going to be made available, and how I'm going to make sure that the building is being built to operate properly, so that the business that within the building thrives and make contribution to the economy. So it's all a holistic approach to the way that thinking process. Okay, the other thing I wanted just to elaborate on is the government soft landing. As you can imagine, if you're building mass amount of assets as government, really wanted to make sure that once you have the keys, you have a bit of information about the operation, about the way the building is going to behave, because what is being designed maybe might not be reflected in how the building is going to run. So therefore, there's lots of corrective action needed as time progresses. So governance of landing is massive on the facility management. It's about the facility enabled by BIM. It's about identification of factors that drive FM, cost, quality, and information technology. And this is one of the main pillars of BIM implementation, is the governance of landing. And then 3 levels were identified, which is the strategic level, key planning stages, tactical level, and the operational level. Some of this information has to be identified at the very early stages of the project identification before even it's been built. What I'm going to get, I'm going to maintain, what sort of materials I'm going to use, what whole life cycle approach I'm going to use, etc. So we're moving on from where this is a typical handover. It comes with the lorries, massive amount of paper to the client, and we want to move into a little bit more smarter way in which information can be delivered. This is now the approach. Information can be delivered in digital format. They can be used, can be integrated, interrelated with facility management software, and there are lots of measures. How much energy it costs me today or tomorrow. What I need in order to reduce this thing. How much the atmosphere can be more comfortable for a better productivity. That is the sort of thing that as a client should think of. It's not about whether I'm going to save 1 or 2% in terms of the construction cost, but how much I'm going to make profit out of this particular building, or out of this particular bridge, or out of this particular road once it's being built. So that's the governance of landing. This is the digital plan of work. Digital plan of work really is the sort of thing I showed you earlier on in terms of the processes. So that's the project processes. These are the processes and how the electronically information is changed from one process to another. So that's big work that's been done now in the UK, is the way in which information is transferred, and we're using level of details from 100 to 500 as you go through the process. So this is something is going to become available somehow sometime next year and before 2016. So if you can see examples of digital plan of work, as these are the processes I showed you, from one brief, concept, definition, design, and this is how information is going to be generated, and how that can be then sustained or can be handled electronically from one place to another. And then the same concept of whole life cycle scenario, how our information is going to be, how every process is going to make a value to the next process, rather than to create the models again and again. And I've been working on a number of projects. We had to create maybe the model about 5 times. One for outline design, one for some of the detailed design, one is the construction, particularly if we want to run 4D, 5D modeling, and one is to communicate with the foreman on site. So we needed to make sure that this wastage is being minimized, and through this part of the digital plan of work. Okay, so the other thing is Uniclass classification, which is classification of products and services. This is something that's being done by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors now, and as you can see in here, the classification is almost in the process of being finalized. So you pick up, you might not see that well, but it doesn't matter really. You can pick up on any of these electronically, and it will tell you somehow what the price is, what the model will for this particular object will look like, and that's the classification that we're pursuing part of the digital plan. Okay, so basically I'm almost there. But basically, just to give you an idea about the information data growth, as start from 0. These are again 1, 2, 3. These are the plan of work. As you can see, massive growth in terms of the data up to basically construction, and then you manage the information. But massive amount of information here that needs to be be managed. So basically, the whole Holy Grail is about how this information is kept, managed, and processed properly for the sake of achieving the targets that we are set to achieve. About 20% of cost reduction. Okay, so that's part of the core as well that we said we're going to talk about is it's about information exchange for to facilitate digital transactions. It's part of the government soft landing. It's the protocols being used, which is called COBE, and it's basically information that is on drawings, information on construction processes, etc., can be captured and make used to run the facilities. And this is part of the government soft landing. They wanted to use certain standards. COBE is one of the standards being used, which is about, COBE really is about information exchange to facilitate digital transactions. So you have all the information captured in a digital format, and that's it's as easy as, there's no 3D models, it's as easy as spreadsheets, different spreadsheets that we capture what we call schedule of room. If you think here, there is the lighting, there is the chairs, all this information about, particularly information about the assets can be captured. So therefore, when you do maintenance, when you do search, when you wanted to calculate the number of posting for maintenance, it's all become available as information, readily available. Okay, this is another documentation you might be interested to have a look at. It's a digital tool for information modeling. This is about the technology, and it might be interesting. You see this is will be delivered about the libraries and data delivery. There is a big market now. I'm not quite sure whether here it started the process, but I would like to hear from you in terms of building digital libraries of objects. I'm a manufacturer of doors, I'm a manufacturer of chairs, I'm a manufacturer of certain type of staircases, maybe certain types of windows. I would make my products available digitally that can be captured by designers and then inserted in their design. That's a massive growing business now in the UK. So that's to speed up the process of development of the spec, speed up the process of development of the drawings. For industry, like the supply chain manufacturers and product specifier, they're investing on this, so therefore, architects might use their products, and therefore there will be somebody going to purchase their products. So there is a massive growth in this area about the digital libraries. And I can see most of the major manufacturers, they're putting their products online, modeled in certain ways that can be captured by the architects, by the designers, by the consulting engineers. They can download the information, and we've got a number of companies in the UK, like, for example, the National Digital Libraries, that is handled by the Royal Institute of Building Architects, or we have the other one is BIM Store. We've got lots of these interesting libraries that can be used. So for example, if you want your doors here, you just download them, and you've got all the specification, the information, and the parametric modeling of this that can be integrated with your work. Okay, so basically that is level 2, but we, as aspiration, we're moving into level 3 and perhaps level 4. But at the moment, level 3 is out on the horizon. But really, level 4 is about all the integration of how the building is going to run. This is where the CapEx and the OpEx are going to be integrated. At level 3, you're thinking a little bit more. Level 2, we think about the facilities, but level 2, we think about the facilities how to run. But level 3 will even go further and have more costing analysis in terms of the integration of the operation cost as opposed to capital cost investment. Because at the end of the day, we wanted to look holistically at the whole cost, from the start of the design and down to the decommissioning of the facilities. So basically all of these, to us, in this construction process, So that's where level 3 is going to have more impact. Level 4 is mostly as our sort of our aspiration is to look at the social issues and the interactivity at level 4. So once the digital information become available, we might be able to use it in different ways, particularly social aspect in terms of productivity and how people can integrate in the building. Okay, really just time to conclude. You can see the journey that took you and the 7 pillars of wisdom in BIM and where we started a long time ago and where we are now in terms of standard. So there is a progress. UK is progressing with the preparation for BIM implementation 2016. I remember the 20% is the vital. Everybody is focusing on this, and this is going to be measured. And there are lots of plans. Once the building is being procured, there will be measures. The other thing is the business case has been made. There is no go back. The business case has been made, and there is the suggesting saving as well in certain projects beyond the 20%. They said it's 30%, which is including delivery and efficient running of facilities. The main ingredient of any successful work is these, the SMEs. You know, if you wanted to have a successful strategy to implementation, you need to enable those people who actually do the work, not those who manage it, not those who carry the risk. Those people who are actually doing it. When I mean the risk is financial risk in terms of the big project management companies, the SMEs started adopting BIM, and we have something called BIM for SME. It's a big initiative funded by the UK that will enable regional development, regional nurturing of SMEs and their BIM capabilities. The last thing I wanted to drum up really message is the trust. If you, construction industry has been really working in different compartments, they don't communicate that well, there is not much trust throughout the process. I mean, for anything to be implemented properly, we need to have an element of trust. An element of trust is the path to success. An element of trust will carry on a culture change. An element of trust will carry on attitude change to the way that we do things. And this is where things are heading now. We've got the ingredients, now we need to have a proper cook to start sorting this out and produce a better built environment. On this note, I shall thank you all for your being a kind participants, and ask thank the Deputy Mayor and Professor Chair for this wonderful experiences of being here and exchanging some ideas and information with you. I'm happy to, throughout the last 2-3 days, I've been talking to people and listening to me. And here is big ambitions, and hopefully these ambitions will be realized, and hoping that we can help and assist. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dawood. 现在我们中场休息20分钟，欢迎各位嘉宾至会场外享用茶点。